What if I told you that one of the most revered relics in history, thought to have been the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, could be something entirely different than we've been led to believe? The Shroud of Turin has been the subject of controversy, devotion, and scientific study for centuries. For many, it represents a direct connection to the crucifixion of Jesus, a sacred relic that carries profound spiritual significance. For others, it's simply a medieval artifact, possibly a well-crafted hoax. But recent forensic studies have uncovered groundbreaking evidence that may change everything we thought we knew about the shroud. Could these new findings finally provide the definitive answers to one of history's most enduring mysteries? Or do they simply add more fuel to the fire of debate? Let's take a closer look. The Shroud of Turin, which is said to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, has a history that spans centuries, filled with a complex web of religious belief, historical documentation, and scientific investigation. The shroud first appeared publicly in the 14th century, in a church in Lille, France, where it sparked immediate interest due to its astonishing image, an image of a man who had suffered a crucifixion. Early records of the shroud's existence are scarce, but its first documented appearance dates back to the 1300s, when it was displayed by a French knight. This was the first time the public would have had a chance to view the shroud, which was displayed in Lille, France. Soon after, rumors began to spread about its true origin. Some believed it was the authentic burial cloth of Jesus Christ, while others suspected it was a medieval creation designed to fool the public. The church did not officially recognize the shroud as the true burial cloth of Jesus, and over time, skepticism grew. The earliest scientific investigations, which were conducted as early as the 19th century, were inconclusive. The shroud continued to spark controversy, with supporters claiming divine origins and skeptics asserting that it was a medieval forgery. Over the years, scientists, religious leaders, and scholars have tried to unlock its mysteries. In 1988, a controversial radiocarbon dating test seemed to settle the matter once and for all, declaring the shroud to be a medieval creation. The result suggested that the cloth was created between 1260 and 1390 AD, leading many to dismiss it as a relic with no connection to the time of Jesus. However, as time went on, further scientific investigations, advances in technology, and new findings have cast doubt on the initial conclusions. Despite all the scrutiny, the shroud's origins remain one of the most fiercely debated topics in religious and scientific circles. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Shroud of Turin is the image of a man, who appears to have suffered the wounds of crucifixion. This image is faint yet detailed, and unlike any other historical representation of crucifixion victims, it appears to be a natural imprint on the cloth, not painted or drawn. Let's analyze the image on the shroud. It features a man with visible wounds on his hands, feet, and side, consistent with the way Jesus is described as being crucified. The figure is also shown with marks from a crown of thorns, and the image seems to reflect a deep understanding of the brutal execution process. But the most fascinating feature is the apparent way the image was created. The shroud doesn't contain any pigment or paint, so how did the image form? The image is not a traditional painting, but appears to be a form of chemical reaction that somehow transferred the details of the person's body onto the fibers of the cloth. The phenomenon is unlike any known technique used by artists or forgers of the time. This leads us to another mystery. How could such an image be produced in such a detailed way? Even more intriguing, the image is three-dimensional. Using modern technology, scientists have been able to map the depth of the image, revealing that the image's intensity changes depending on the distance from the cloth. It's almost as if the image itself has a dimensionality that doesn't make sense from a traditional artistic standpoint. If this is a forgery, it's an extraordinarily well-crafted one. If it's not a forgery, then how did it happen? Could it be an imprint of the body of Jesus Christ, or is it some other phenomenon entirely? The shroud's features have baffled both scientists and religious scholars alike. As we entered the 21st century, new advances in forensic science have given us a chance to examine the shroud in ways never before possible. Forensic scientists, radiologists, and imaging experts have all applied cutting-edge technology to the shroud, hoping to unlock the secrets of this ancient relic. One of the most promising methods used in recent studies has been digital imaging. Using high-resolution cameras and infrared light, scientists have been able to detect previously unseen details on the cloth. For instance, the high-resolution digital scans have revealed distinct markings consistent with the wounds of a crucifixion, providing stronger evidence that the image may not be a hoax. In addition to digital imaging, scientists have applied modern techniques like 3D imaging and even ultraviolet light analysis to reveal more intricate details about the shroud. These technologies have helped provide a more precise understanding of the shroud's age, texture, and the possible interactions that led to the creation of the image. Perhaps the most groundbreaking recent study was done by Dr. John Jackson and his team of forensic scientists. In addition to using high-resolution imaging, they also conducted chemical tests on the cloth. Their findings suggest that the blood stains on the shroud are consistent with human blood, specifically of a type that could have come from a man who had been crucified. In addition to this, advanced radiography and X-ray techniques revealed signs of injury consistent with Roman crucifixion, including puncture wounds in the hands and feet. Even more remarkable, when scientists mapped out the physical characteristics of the image, they discovered that the proportions of the figure matched the typical proportions of a man who would have lived in the 1st century, aligning with descriptions of Jesus Christ. The significance of these findings cannot be overstated. While they don't conclusively prove the shroud's connection to Jesus Christ, they offer compelling evidence that the relic is far more complex and mysterious than we once thought. So, what do these recent forensic findings tell us? Well, they open up several possible interpretations, and the debate surrounding the Shroud of Turin is far from over. For many religious believers, these findings represent proof that the shroud is the authentic burial cloth of Jesus Christ. The bloodstains, the wounds, and the image, all of these details seem to point towards something extraordinary. On the other hand, skeptics argue that these findings are still inconclusive. They may be interesting, but they don't necessarily prove the shroud's authenticity. Critics continue to assert that the image could have been created using medieval techniques, and that the evidence for its connection to Jesus is purely circumstantial. This brings us to the crux of the debate. How much weight should we place on scientific evidence when it comes to matters of faith? Some argue that the shroud's authenticity cannot be proven by science alone, while others believe that the scientific findings provide compelling support for its religious significance. No matter where you fall on the spectrum of belief, the Shroud of Turin remains a powerful symbol of faith, mystery, and the quest for truth. It's not just a scientific puzzle or a historical artifact, it's a spiritual relic that has been venerated by millions over the centuries. For many, the shroud represents a tangible link to Jesus Christ and a reminder of his suffering and resurrection. But it also represents something broader, the ongoing human desire to understand the unknown, to seek answers to life's biggest questions. The mystery of the shroud transcends religious and cultural boundaries, captivating the imagination of people from all walks of life. The Shroud of Turin will continue to spark debate for generations to come. While modern forensic evidence has provided new insights into this ancient relic, it has also raised more questions. Is the shroud the authentic burial cloth of Jesus Christ, or is it a complex forgery? No matter how you interpret the findings, one thing is clear: the shroud is far more than just a piece of cloth. It is a symbol of mystery, faith, and human curiosity. As new technology and forensic methods emerge, who knows what additional revelations may await us? But one thing is certain: the Shroud of Turin will remain a subject of fascination and debate for many years to come.